So at the end of my yesterday's video on Optishot driving the ball, I talked about how today I would make a video and show you how I calibrate a golf club on the Optishot. Today I'm going to do my 8-iron. I'll be using this 8-iron. I'll be using my radar unit to measure my swing speed with a device that's capable of doing it, and then using those numbers I get from the radar to make the Optishot make this 8-iron just like it is in the real world. So this is my environment that I'm going to do the calibration in. I've got my OptiPad down there, the green object over there. I've got a piece of styrofoam on the ground here that keeps my radar unit off the ground a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put my radar down there, turn it on. This is a Japanese unit, and it's calibrated in meters. So on the side there I've got a chart that I use in order to convert units back to miles per hour. And then over here on the coffee table I've got my laptop with the USB connected to the hitting pad. And then finally I kind of watch my results over here on the television set. Alright, I've got the camera set up to catch the action off of my laptop computer sitting off on the side. So let me first take a look at the current settings of my 8-iron. So let me go ahead and go over to the driving range. Hit the practice button, go over to the driving range. Then I'm going to select my 8-iron here. Alright, it's on driver, so 3-wood, 3-iron, hybrid, 4-iron, 5-iron, 6-iron, 7, finally 8-iron. Alright, and then I'm going to choose a flag to hit to here. I'm going to choose the 122 yard, 123 yard flag. And actually, if I want to make this 120 yards, I can move around on the driving range there and hit 120. And then now down here you can see I've got a 120 yard shot with my 8-iron selected. And then I'm going to go and take a look how my 8-iron is currently set up. Alright, so it's in this club set called Mike. That's me, Mike. And I made it back in October, looks like last year. The club is called an 8-iron. The type is an 8-iron. Its shaft length is 3650, pretty much standard. My average distance, I set that at 120, and that's the number that Optishot uses when I have a 120 yard shot. If I've got 120 to a pin, Optishot will automatically select my 8-iron. Okay, I've got a 44-degree loft on that. That's old school loft. These days your 8-iron I think is coming off at about, I don't know, some of them like 34 degrees. And then there's this offset number, which is a very interesting number. It represents the offset that you might get built into a club, and you can use it in order to adjust how the Optishot gives you or takes off slice or adds hook. You'll see a little later on. I'll demonstrate that number because that's a very important number for making your Optishot not have you pulling the hair out of your head. Alright, and then I've got the speed adjust number. It's already 110, 110. Now for today's purposes, I'm going to set that back to 100, 100. Okay, so this is how Optishot would come when you open it up from the factory. These two numbers are going to be set on 100% and 100%. meaning that what Optishot calculates for the speed is going to be displayed, and the distance that you hit the ball is going to be what it is. Okay, these things can be adjusted. So, all right, let's go through the process. I've got my radar over there, and my radar is a radar that's capable of measuring my club head speed when there's no ball being hit. Okay, so at 100, I'm going to make a swing and see what my radar says. Optishot says 50 miles per hour. My radar says about 55 miles per hour. All right, so let me take another swing. A little harder swing there. All right, the Optishot says 62 miles per hour. My radar says 72. All right, so I need to have the Optishot say 72 miles per hour when I do that to agree with the radar. So I'm going to adjust that number. The speed adjust. And I'm going to try what I had before, 110. So I'm adding 10% to the Optishot speed. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my swing. So now I've got it showing me that I swung at 68 miles per hour, and my radar says I swung at 67.5 miles per hour. So now I've got the speed calibrated on the Opti, and now I have to make sure that that distance that the golf ball went is about what I see in the real world of the golf ball. And just so happens that one went 122 yards, which is just about as good as I can do with my 8-iron. So it looks like when I'm using full performance, my speed number is 110, and I leave the distance at 100. I'm going to go ahead and hit one more. $69 miles per hour, 131. I'm going to go ahead and hit one more. $67 miles per hour for 122. All right, so that's my full 8-iron. And with this, I can hit partial shots like I did when I was playing the TrackMan. This is my me-knee shot, my little shot with the 8-iron. 40 yards. And I do the same thing when I'm playing Opti that I do in the real world. Increment my power. So Optishot session on the range with an iron for me is going through my various power settings so that with a particular club I can hit a particular yardage. I don't have to swing them full power all the time. So if I want 50 yards, I know it's that little me-knee shot. Try for an 80-yard shot. Try for a 90-yard shot. go back to a full power shot. All right, so now let's take a look at that offset number. I told you that was really important. You see, I'm doing a good job at hitting the ball pretty straight. All right, if I take this offset number and I make it 0, and I go back to hitting full shots, it's probably going to be shots that go to the right. All right, and actually that went quite a bit right. Let me take a couple more. Might have left the club face open on that first one. But in general, these shots are all finishing to the right. All right, so let me go back to that number. And make this like 0.25. Okay, so my number before was like 0.115. Now it's 0.25. So I'm expecting that my results are going to go to the left. So this is how you dial in your right and left. Now let me throw an obnoxiously large number on that one. So a 0.25, and I'll make it 0.5. They don't manufacture very many golf clubs with a 0.5 offset. So we can see in general the trend definitely is to the left. So I'm going to put that number back to what it was originally. And then take a full swing and see if things are back to normal. 123 yards, right down the middle. If we look at the numbers, 67 mile per hour swing. Face was almost square, closed just a little bit. My path was on plane, 123 yards, tempo 0.8, a little fast for me with the toe contact. All right, there's one more thing the Optishot does, and that's an auto calibration. And I haven't done this auto calibration in a long time, but let's give it a try today. Calibrate club. Swing the club with the club face square to the sensors behind the ball at least 5 times. Each of your swings should be performed with no ball at a swing speed that allows you to correctly maintain the desired face angle. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's make 5 swings with this 8-iron. And see what it does. Swing 1. Swing 2. Swing 3. Swing 4. swing 5. All right, and then it's telling me to do the next button. All right, swing the club with the club face open 10 degrees to the sensors behind the ball 5 times. Oh my God, this is a lot of work, but we'll persevere. So I'm going to open the club face what looks like 10 degrees and make these 5 swings. 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally the 5th swing. All right, and then it wants another next. Now it says do the same thing but close the club face 10 degrees. Well, I'll need a protractor for this. All right, 5 swings again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally 5 swings. Whew. And I hit the next finish button. All right, and now let's see what Optishot has gone and done to my numbers on this 8-iron. It's still an 8-iron. It didn't change the shaft length. The caddy number is still 120. The loft is still 44. The offset, it didn't touch it. The speed adjust, it didn't touch it. The average distance, it didn't touch it. So I don't know what the Optishot was up to there when I asked it to calibrate this club. It didn't change a thing. And the command I said was calibrate club. This club has already been calibrated. Would you like to calibrate this club for the blah? No. All right, so anyway, that is their calibration situation. I don't know as I really care for it. Let me take a look at another club, for instance. I tend to have more offset in my 8-iron, my lower irons, than I do in my driver. So let me take a look. Got the pitching wedge, club set. This has a .141 offset. Its speed adjust is 100, distance adjust is 105. And then let's look at that driver. All right, its numbers. It's a driver, it's a 1 wood, shaft length 45, caddy number 200, loft. I jacked that up to 18 so that I can get a really high shot. And this one goes with 0 offset. Same speed adjust number, 115, but the average distance I had to really knock it down to 85% to represent what I am in real life. So that's how I calibrate a club on the Optishot. I guess the only thing I could say about that automatic calibrate is that if it actually did change some numbers, it changed the numbers to the exact numbers that I chose, which would be very interesting. I'd like to go through the exercise again and see what it does with another club, but I don't want to bore you too much. But I think my method for calibrating a club on the Optishot, adjusting that offset number by yourself until your shots are running straight, knowing that you came through with the square club face, using a radar unit to make sure that the Optishot is representing your club head speed accurately. And with those two things, you'll be surprised how good of a simulator the Optishot actually is for its price point of $300.